and our hot peppers. It's gonna be a spicy. Well, we are in the farmhouse kitchen. What are you doing today, Maureen? Those temperatures outside are getting colder, and so as much as I'd like to be out working in the yard, my body does not like to be out in the cold. So I left some summer projects to do in the winter when this time would come. And one of those, of course, is canning up my frozen tomatoes. If the tomatoes were ripe, we would take the tomato, wash it, put a little X on the bottom of each tomato, and then put it in a freezer bag. The nice thing is that we could just keep adding as tomatoes ripened. So I've got all of these tomatoes here. Our plans were to make ketchup, tomato sauce, but as I was thinking, you know, we love Indian food, and so why not make some sort of curry sauce instead of me having to go out and buy it? That would be very, very cool. And as we went looking up recipes, found this recipe in Not Your Mama's Canning Book by Rebecca Lindawood. And it looks super easy, simple, and I thought, that's what we're gonna do with our tomatoes. So first things first, yesterday, I took all the tomatoes out and then put them on these giant cookie sheets to thaw. Over time, there always seems to be, you know, little pinholes that happen. And so all the liquid has come out and all the ice is all emptying out of these. So I am going to have to drain these pans. Mama's got skills. Over the last few years, I've tried a lot of different tomatoes, and there is some wonderful, delicious tomatoes, but I started to settle in on just paste tomatoes. And those are ones that are not as juicy on the inside, still a great amount of seeds, but they're better for cooking. And we as a whole don't eat a lot of fresh tomatoes because they are nightshades and cause inflammation in our bodies. You know, do I love eating fresh Greek salad? There is nothing better. There is nothing better. But again, my body does not like to eat it as much. So I grew San Marzano, Roma tomatoes, and then an Italian pear-style tomato that is nicknamed a Nonna tomato because it came from Italy, from someone's Nonna. In the summertime, Marissa had made up our salsa, but she had skinned them all, put them in the bags. I like to keep the skins and use the skins, and so we are going to be blending them in because there is lots of nutrients and lots of color. This was all kind of smaller tomatoes. I did have a few rogue tomatoes that showed up, so this is a blend only, so we'll be just putting it right into the blender. And so with all these other tomatoes, we're just gonna peel the skins back and separate them because we had done the preliminary put it in the right bowl because we had done the cuts before we froze them. So we're just going to be splitting them up into bowls. And I am going to need 24 cups of tomatoes, cored and chopped, but this is going to end up being more of a smooth sauce than what the recipe shows. So our tomatoes are done. These are ones that are going to be blended. And so now we've got 6 large onions peeled, 12 garlic cloves all chopped, and some ginger all chopped, and some fresh jalapeno and cayenne pepper all chopped. The really cool thing is that the ginger, the garlic, and the peppers, I grew them myself. Well, and also the tomatoes. And so the only thing that was store-bought was the onions. This makes this free. So to start, we're gonna put 2 tablespoons of olive oil into our pot and heat up. And now that our oil is hot, we're gonna add in our onions and our garlic. And 2 teaspoons of kosher salt. We're going to saute this until the onions are slightly translucent. So while that's sauteing, we're going to blend up the peels. Now, I have this high-powered blender, which is a soup blender, and it just does an amazing job of the skins of your tomatoes where there's all this beautiful, rich color and the nutrients, and so I don't want that to go to waste. We're just going to add in some of our tomato juice water. So these are some of the tomatoes that we didn't bother peeling, and so that all their juices and water are all inside. I'm just going to do small batches. Let's check on our onions. Oh, they're looking nice. Sweating it out. I'll let them go a little bit longer. So we've sweated the onions enough, and now we're going to add 6 tablespoons of garam masala, and that's what makes tikka masala so delicious. 5. I hope you were counting because I wasn't. I had to go look back and see how many I'd put in. So then we're just going to basically toast up the garam masala to get some wonderful flavor going. Get it some heat to it, and then we're going to be adding our ginger and our hot peppers. So in goes the ginger and our hot peppers. It's going to be a spicy. We'll let this just kind of heat up for about a minute, and then we're going to be adding in our tomatoes. So let's get these tomatoes in. We've got 8 cups. Please remember that number. And another 8 cups. So we are at 16. Let's just get that stirred in. It smells really good now. And our last 8, which makes 24. We added in all of the tomatoes, and so it has made it a bit more. And then we've just done a nice little taste test, and we feel like we're going to add in some more garam masala, and we're also going to add in some cumin. So 3 more tablespoons. And Marissa said when she's using garam masala, she puts in 2 tablespoons just for the small batch. So we want to let this kind of sit overnight and just to let the flavors really melt in before we can it up. Cumin smells really good. Our tikka masala has been gently simmering all day, and because we basically added almost another 12 cups, so we've added in more garam masala, more cumin, and we also added in some more garlic. So we are ready to go. We've got our tikka masala, our hot jars, our vinegar rings, and we will be putting it in to the pressure canner. It's great if you have one of these funnels. This works on standard and wide mouth. And so we're just going to be ladling in, leaving a 1-inch headspace. And they do say to be generous with this, and I think it's because it is so thick. So I do have a tool here that shows all the accurate measurement. The 1 inch is right there. So I can put this into the jar to see if I have the 1-inch headspace, which at this point I do not. It looks like I have a 3/4, so I will be having to remove quite a bit to make that 1 inch. So I'm just going to do some debubbling to make sure that we've got all the bubbles out. So just kind of stabbing in each one. There I've got my 1-inch space. One more quick debubble, and then we're going to lid them up and get them into the pressure canner. So we're just going to be using plain white vinegar to clean the lids because we don't want anything to be left along the edges to not have the seal. We just take our paper towel dipped in vinegar and give a good wipe around, removing any sort of debris or if I've spilt at all. This also lets me check to make sure that if there's any chips on the rim, if I've missed them, you know, I'll be able to feel it while I'm going around. And then we just need to drop on our seals. And we're gonna add our rings, and we just wanna put them on fingertip tight. Because there is no acid added in here like vinegar, there's no meat or anything, we only have to pressure can these for 30 minutes. So it's actually a pretty quick can. So let's go put them in the canner, come on. So this is an All-American pressure canner. I would highly recommend it due to the fact that you get these lug nuts on each side, and there's 6 of them. That's gonna prevent anything from going wrong. In the bottom, I have one of these trays. If you don't have one of these trays, you could put a towel, tea towel down, but that's what the pint jars are gonna sit on. I can put 7 quart jars, or I can put 16 pint jars, because with the pint jars, we can put on a second shelf. I know many of you are afraid of using a pressure canner, but they are fantastic. And this is a non-gasket kind. So what I do have to do just before I start, I have to take a little bit of olive oil and just rub it along this edge, just to help make that extra seal. Super easy. Then when we're going to put the lid on, a little arrow here, and we're gonna line that arrow up, and it locks on just like so. Let me bring you in closer. And you can see here we have a gap. Now, one of the things that we do want to do is we want to make sure that the gap is equal all around. So right now in the back, it's down a little bit. It's pretty darn good now. And then when we're going to start to set it up, we bring in opposite sides bolts, and we just give them a light twist just to keep them on. And then the last 2 here, which you can't see because I'm in the way. So they are just kind of finger tight. So now again, I just do another check to make sure that this gap is even all over the place. And if it isn't, then I just need to make a little bit of adjustment, which I feel like it's not quite. So I just loosen it a little bit and make that slight adjustment, and then retighten opposite sides. And now we're gonna let it get up to temperature, and then we start our 30 minutes. I'll bring you back when it's time to take these little babies out. There are our 16 jars of tikka masala, which is fantastic. So easy just to open up a jar and put it in with your chicken, or if you want to keep it vegetarian, you could put it with potatoes and chickpeas. In my next video, I'm actually going to take one of the jars, we're going to open it up and make tikka masala. Ooh, there was a ping, ping. We were left with 8 cups. I'm either just going to freeze it into portions, or we'll figure out something. So as you can see, it's very, very easy to make your own tomato sauce products, making this tikka masala and using your pressure canner. Anyway, I hope you're having a great day wherever you are, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video where we're gonna make some chicken tikka masala. Take care, God bless.